Hello guys, Contron back again. It has been about a week. I have had a lot of school related things to do, but I am now back and I have some free time, so I'd like to continue on with the project. I have a couple of things that I want to tackle today. The first one is I want to make my own model, just so that I am not using a model on the internet anymore. I do like to have all original uh, models. And then I think I'm going to move on to adding control schemes for the different punches. I might add up like a GUI as well, just like a little like side note that says like the controls so that the player knows how to control each punch. And then I think I'm going to tackle QuickTime events, see how I can do with that. I think that'll be a really good idea. I also added a couple things. I got some suggestions from some of my friends. If you guys also have some suggestions, do leave that in the comments. I am totally open to anything you guys have to say. I love to hear what people may have to say about my game. So, yeah, let's get started. I am going to be taking a different approach with my style of video this time around because I am learning still. Uh, First and foremost, I want to. Well, let's just start by starting the timer. First and foremost, I want to maybe focus a little bit less on the nitty gritty and a little bit more on jump cuts and time lapses, just so that you guys can see the end product. The coding is understandably not as interesting. However, if there is a niche for people that do want to see sort of the back end of things, then I can totally change things up for them. I was even maybe thinking of posting an uncut video on top of my edited video. However, the downside to the uncut video is there will probably be a lot of time where I am just not talking because a lot of the time I spend in this actually goes into researching rather than coding, which will literally just be me reading articles or like forum posts. But let me know if you guys want to see an uncut video. I can totally do that. So let's get started with the models. I am going to time lapse this, so I will be back very shortly. So enjoy the time lapse. Okay, I'm back. I have created the two gloves. I will show you what they look like. Um, I definitely reference the ones that I pulled online quite a bit, but it is Roblox. I'm pretty limited in what I can do, and I don't know how to use Blender, so I would say this is pretty good. I added a little bit of extra detail. Got these like weird strings that are on boxing gloves. And then yeah, it's slightly different. I made it a little bit brighter colored as well. Uh I may change that color. I don't know. So now I need to get these to be um they need to be compatible with the code that I made. So let's just see what happens. Right off the bat, not the best start. And also, I totally forgot to change my model, so let me just, and then rotate that 180, put that back in. Here we go. Now I have some custom gloves, and they even like sort of hold together, which in a way I kind of like. I don't think I'm a big fan of the thumbs clipping into each other though. So maybe I will actually readjust their size. It doesn't look any different, does it? It still is just clipping. You know what? I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm just going to leave it as is. I think it at least looks better than when they were bigger and just fully clipping each other. So now we got that. Now what I want to do is I want to work on the well, first let's check that. So we got created the custom model, and I wonder if I can set this up so that it can show, yeah, there we go, show completed tasks. So create custom glove models is done. That is good. Next up, we should do create multiple controls to throw different punches. So I'm going to start by creating a little instruction GUI, which I can, well, I'm going to create an instruction GUI that'll probably be like down here and it'll be toggleable, and then followed with that will be like some controls. I'm going to start with QER and maybe T. That seems a bit weird though. I could do arrow keys, that wouldn't be too bad. And I could also make it so that you can just click the controls. Why not? I'll do that. So you can either choose to use arrow keys or you can click some buttons. That would be a good idea, actually. Alright, so I'm going to cut through until something interesting happens or until I'm done. So I will see you guys on the flip side. Okay, guys, I am back. I have mapped the different punches into 4 different controls. For now, I've settled on Z, X, C, and V, actually. The reason why I didn't do arrow keys is because when you press arrow keys, it moves your character and your camera, and that is just awkward. And I'm sure I could make that more doable if I maybe locked the character controls and also locked the camera, but that would be very future stuff. So for now, let's just do Z, X, C, and V. So Z is the left hook, V is, you know what, I want to change that. So V is the right jab, but I think I actually want V to be the right hook. So this will be V, this will be C. So we have V is right hook, Z is left hook, and then the 2 inner keys are like the jabs. It kind of makes sense because it's like, you know, the right hook is like an outer punch, and it's the outermost key, and then the inner keys are the inner punches. I actually kind of like it. It's really cool. So now I'm going to go on to making the UI, so I will be back for that. Alright guys, I'm back. I have been working quite a bit. So, as I remember from before I left, I mapped out the controls and I showed you guys that. I've been working on just sort of like a UI system. So we have a new button now. This button opens up the control menu. I decided to animate it a little bit just to make it look a little bit more professional. So basically it just opens up into the control menu. It's got a little, so it sort of like slides open like that, and then it slides closed. I think it's pretty charming, to say the least. And then, you know, you toggle your gloves, and then you can reference that while you're fighting. So yeah, that's where we're at. So I got that done. So I'd say we can check that off the list. And the next thing that we want to do is work on QuickTime events. And this is going to be the big one of today. I imagine this will take me a little while, but who knows, maybe I'll surprise myself. So the idea is that if you hit another player, it's going to pop up a UI on their screen that'll basically say like, hey, you need to press this button to dodge it, or else you will take damage. Now I question, should a left hook correspond to a left hook control? Like maybe if they press Z to punch a left hook, you have to press Z to dodge it. But on the other hand, it would almost make sense to reverse the controls because if they punch left, you'd want to dodge to the right. So maybe if they throw a Z punch, then you have to dodge with V. Uh, and that would make the game a bit more challenging because it's now, more it the controls are reversed, so it adds this extra level of challenge. So I'm gonna start working on it, and I will come back to you guys. Okay, guys, I'm back. I have thrown together uh, just sort of like a test quick time event. This took me quite a while, like 45 minutes. So I have a button right here. And what happens is, let me find it. When you press the button, it's going to pick a random number between 1 and 4. Basically 4. It's going to floor the number to the nearest integer. And then it's going to basically just randomly choose which QuickTime event I have to react to. And then it's going to communicate with a couple of scripts. But what happens is I press this, a prompt is going to show up. It's going to say Z, X, C, or V. And I have to return said response in under a second, or else I will take damage, 35 damage, so 3 hits and I'm dead. So I'm going to just show you what that looks like. So one thing to note is that I have to have my gloves on, and it is the same script that just does the punching. I want to adjust that a little bit so that I'm not punching to block or dodge. But I'm gonna press this, and I press V, and then it didn't kill me because I passed the QuickTime event. And I press X, I pass the QuickTime event. If you look down here, you can see I have like a little timer. It goes from 1 second to 0 in 30 intervals. Because, or I think like 33 intervals, because it's just using the wait function, which is 0.03 seconds. If I wanted to up that, I could use render stepped, but I think wait is all I'm gonna need because like the fastest QuickTime event I imagine I'll have, it's gonna be 0.5, maybe 0.3 seconds, so I don't really need render step to go much faster. So I'll test it again, and this time I'm gonna fail. So if I don't do anything, then you'll see that I just took a third of my health. And if I do like the wrong thing, then I also took damage. So I have to maintain the proper response, or else I will die. So I'll just do the wrong one, and then I'm dead. This is not the greatest way to take damage because it is local script damage, which if you don't really know how that works, it's a little iffy because you want that to be on a server script. If it's on a client script, then it just sort of, it only really shows damage for the actual player, but no one else. Eventually, I'm going to be having this communicating with the script to the server. So that is where I'm at with the QuickTime events. I think that actually turned out really well. So I think the next step is to just sort of have some communication between the player who punches and the player who's blocking. So I'm probably going to evolve this from a button to like, if I punch someone, then they are given the QuickTime event. And it will be, related to what I send out. So, alright guys, so I am back. I've done a little bit of thinking. It's only been a couple minutes, but I've been doing some thinking. So there are some things I want to avoid, actually. I want to avoid the dot touch function. If you don't know what that is, it basically just means like if the game detects that a certain object touches another object, it runs a function. In my experience, the dot touch function just kind of sucks in Roblox. It's just not great. It's very inconsistent and just really messy. So I have a better idea. So let's say you're in a match. I'm gonna open Paint again. Let's just say you're like in a match with another player. So there would be some sort of setup in the game where it's like player 1 versus player 2. I think what instead there could be is some sort of like registry that says like, oh, it's player one's turn, and they threw out um, X. So it doesn't necessarily mean that there has to be contact between them and player two, but because it's player one's turn, and there's not really going to be missing in this game aside from when the player dodges. If player one throws out X on his turn, then player two has to respond, and then it'll check what player two's response is. Player two responded with C, so then therefore player two does not take damage. Now it'll go on to player two's turn. So it'll go over, it'll go to the next registry, and it'll say player two threw out, I don't know, Z, and then player one responded with C, which is incorrect. So player one, damage. They take damage. And then so on and so forth. So this way I can avoid the dot touch function and just sort of have a much smoother game, in my opinion. But the immediate downside to this is that I'm going to probably have to do quite a few more steps before I do what I was just talking about. That's going to involve sort of like setting a matchmaking system that can put two players in a matchup. And then on top of that, maybe like adding in some more, well, I don't have to do that quite yet. So really I just need to set up a matchmaking system that puts player one and player two in the matchup and then has sort of like a turn-based system going on. But that is going to take quite a bit of workarounds. I need to sort of brainstorm where I want to start with that. But I do have my building blocks, so it will probably take me like a little while, but hopefully not too long. So I will give you guys updates on that. Okay, guys, I have a bit of an update. So I created a little matchmaker thing. It's very simple, so it doesn't look like much yet. But basically, it just runs a code, and I am actually using the dot touch function, but it's not in a combat sense, so it's okay. And what it does is it just checks if you either touch this sort of like glass container, you touch this glass container. This is the player one glass container, and this is the player two glass container. When you touch it, it's going to teleport you inside the glass container, and then it's going to save you as the value of either player one or player two. So if I enter the game and I touch this case, then it will teleport me in. And then I look inside the matchmaker and I am saved as player one. Here is the script for it. It's pretty simple. I basically just saved like the teleport locations, and then it just says like if you touch the player one spot, then you become player one. If you touch the player two spot, you become player two, and you teleport inside the appropriate thing. So that is where I'm at for now, and then I'm going to get started on the next part. So wish me luck. Actually, I have decided that I have done quite a bit today. I've been going for about 2.5 hours now. I'd say that's enough for this video. I don't want my videos to be quite as long as last time. They don't really need to be 30 minutes. So I'm gonna just stick with what I have, not overdo it. I'd say we had a pretty productive day. We got 2 tasks done, and we got started on another thing. We have some great ideas going forward. Again, if you guys have any ideas, please comment them down below. I'm always open to ideas. And if you guys like my content, you want to support me, please like and subscribe. And also join my Discord, which I will put down in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.